here.
Yeah,
I'll ask
cool.
one final question, and then I will move it on. So just as a point of clarification, can you answer? You said you don't object if it's older man, younger woman, and they're just hooking up.
It's their business.
But you do object, older man, younger woman, serious long-term monogamous relationship.
I would look at that older man and I would wonder what is going on with his mental health that he needs to date someone who is young enough
So
to
he's
be his
mentally,
daughter.
now older men are mentally ill for being attracted to young adult women?
Yeah, that's
They're
creepy.
it's
creepy.
No, it's a mental illness.
I think so.
You think it's a mental illness for men to be
Maybe.
attracted to like a stacked 21-year-old, like giant
Just-
fucking
well, just-
titties,
just
big
not-
fucking
well,
ass?
I don't need you to
You
agree
think
with
it's
me.
a mental illness?
No, Brian, stop.
I just
It's
don't need
only
to
a mental illness if they want to date them. It's fine to fuck them.
No, I'm telling you, I don't care. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion.
All right, hang on. Let's lighten the mood. We'll lighten the mood, all right? Like, here's me throwing you a bone. You want to sing the I Just Got the Ick song? I just got
Please.
the ick. Come on,
It's
you
the
can sing
ick.
it with me.
It is the ick. It's so gross.
It got the ick?
It's so gross. What are you doing
It's
dating
so
your
gross.
grandfather?
I know, it's so gross of that chick to do that.
So
What a
just to be
gross
clear,
chick.
your position is men are mentally ill for desiring young adult women. So like 21-year-old women, it's mental illness.
It's like, yeah, why would you want to date your daughter?
What?
Well, he's
Can
not
I-
dating his daughter.
You-
He's
what-
dating.
what you
He's
got?
dating.
Not dating.
Can I
Okay,
honestly-
okay.
Wait.
There- I
let's
can
get,
get-
hold on. Go ahead.
I just want to clarify your position. You originally said mental health, right? You were like, it raises mental health concerns.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And you're using the term mental health illness. Those are two very different things.
What?
You can
No, they're the same.
have
They're the
mental
same,
health
girl.
symptoms.
They're the same.
Okay, so
Like-
articulate what she's trying to say when she says it's a mental health thing. Yo, Payo, thank you for the raid, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Payo. Okay, so what mental health concern is there
Well,
for
I'm
a man
just-
to be attracted to a 21-year-old adult woman? What is
This
the
isn't
mental
my
health?
point. I was just asking a clarifying question. That's all I was doing.
So you're trying to differentiate between mental
Well,
health and mental illness?
I was wondering if you were using the same terminology for mental health and mental illness. It's okay if you
I'm
are.
pretty
Okay,
sure
so
they're
it was
interchangeable.
it was like first of all, it was an off the cuff comment, so it's not that serious. Number one, but
No, I agree.
number two, I said I would be concerned about their mental health. Why are they dating someone? And hear me out for a second before you jump in. There's a lot of men out there who are dating women, sometimes younger or the same
Yep,
age
not
as their
talking about that.
daughters.
Oh, okay.
And because that's where the daughter comment came in, because you said, well, it's not his daughter, that are about the same age. Why would you want to date someone? Look, first of all, I have a 15-year-old son. I would never, 5 years from now, when he's 20, I would
Hold
never
on.
date a
Okay,
20-year-old.
I actually have a rebuttal to this.
Okay.
So you're saying that any characteristic which a child possesses, you must not then date a person who possesses the characteristic of your child.
No,
so for
I didn't
example,
say that.
if the skin color of your child is white, how dare you date somebody
didn't say
who's
that.
the same skin color
Brian, I didn't
as
say
your
that.
child? Right, but that's the logical.
I didn't say that.
Yes, I know that's not what you said. But do you understand how I'm trying to like make a comparison here? You're saying that if there's a trait that your child possesses, it then becomes weird and creepy
I do
if
think
you
it's weird
date
and
somebody
creepy.
who possesses
Yeah.
the same trait. So for example,
No.
if your child has blue eyes, you are then a predator for
Nope,
dating
I didn't
somebody
say that.
who has blue. That's your argument,
No, it's
though.
not. No, it's not.
Dude, do you really think that's what I'm saying? Do you genuinely think that I'm saying that that's what you said?
You literally just said that in your logic, any type of characteristic that person possesses.
Okay,
would
but
then be
are
off
you
the
saying that
list.
are you saying that I said that you said it verbatim?
I'm because you're
Of
saying.
course, I know you didn't say what I just said.
But you're basically elaborating on something and taking it down a road that wasn't
Okay,
even a
so
thought
then,
in my
but
mind.
I don't understand this comparison.
He's drawing a parallel comparison, like they're comparable.
Or we could just stay on what I actually said. So like I look at you being 21 years old as, oh my God, let me take you under my wing. Let me help you out. Let me
So
let me take care of
infantilizing.
you.
But why does she need that?
No, it's. I think I do
Creepy.
agree. Okay, I
That's
will
what you
say,
do to a generation below
okay,
you.
okay.
I will
have a
say
question. I have a
speaking
question.
as a-
Do you think a 30-year-old man is mentally ill if they found her physically attractive?
There's a less than 10 year age
That's a
difference.
weird question.
Less than 10
Do you
years.
think they're mentally ill if they found her physically attractive?
There's a less than 10 years age
Okay,
difference.
35.
I would be concerned. Like, dude, what are you doing with a 21-year-old? Yeah.
want to go back to your comment about young people being sponges. I do agree with that. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't start developing until you're 25.
Okay, so
it's peer
so
reviewed.
then
There's
people,
multiple studies.
yeah, it's been debunked. So should people be voting then?
Nope.
Should you be able to vote at that age?
Vote?
No.
Hold on. Go ahead. Should you be able to vote?
I think that given our current political system and how one vote, I think that's a hard one. I think that.
Hold on. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Okay, so with your vote, you could elect a representative, a president, congressman, represent whatever it is, who could send us to war, which could lead to a nuclear holocaust. Do you think that that's a bigger issue than being able to have a romantic sexual relationship with a man who's 20 years older than you?
I think that's a very interesting comparison to draw between those two
hold on,
issues.
but with your
completely
vote,
separate.
I
with
don't
your
know how
vote,
the
you
conversation's
can
gotten here.
Yeah.
okay, with your vote, you can empower a representative who could send us to war, that could result in conceivably the some sort of catastrophic scenario where there's nuclear war.
Do you think my vote individually would have that much of an impact? One individual
Yes,
vote?
Yes, it
the
does.
elections sometimes
100%.
can come down to just 2,000 or 3,000 votes. Sometimes they can come down to just 20,000 votes. Yes, definitely your vote matters a great deal. So what Brian's ultimate point here is if your prefrontal cortex is not developed until you're 25 and you can't make rational decisions on who you will end up with, only a person with a prefrontal cortex which is fully developed can, then why would we give you the rights to drive, vote, participate in signing contracts like the military, things like that? You're basically saying that you don't have the cognitive ability to make the decision to date older men, but you have the cognitive ability to run the nation. And it's just in that. And that's where the comparison is where you're like, what?
Yeah, well, it's not even make the cognitive decision to date older men. It's making the cognitive decision to make any wise dating decisions whatsoever. So should people before the age of 25 be dating at all?
But we're
With that
so
logic,
far
no,
from the
because they
actual
can't make
question.
logical decisions until they turn 25.
We're so far from the actual question. You asked me my opinion on what I thought about 21-year-old, but now we're down like voting, the
Well, no,
military.
no, no, no.
Like,
No, we're
can we just
making
stick to the
parallel
point?
comparisons.
Like,
The topic shifted. Hang on, the topic shifted off of you because she brought up the prefrontal cortex argument. This is a very common feminist argument. Happens often. And I'm fine with the argument. I just am only fine with it if we can agree on the entailments of what that means. It's like, if you're saying that a woman's prefrontal cortex is not fully developed till 25, and because of that, she's not making good rational decisions about who she can or can't date, then why would we let her make rational decisions about other things which have impacts? That's the point.
She probably doesn't, like, young people
She
don't
has a
even
voice.
understand what
She
it
has a
means.
voice. She has a voice. She can speak. I
I'm
promise.
not talking about her.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about her.
No,
I'm talking about
Yeah.
the woman, the girl in this scenario. I'm not talking about her.
I'll let you finish.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
It's okay.
I
No.
wasn't even talking about you.
No, you're all good. I knew
Yeah.
you weren't. You're all good. I think that is an interesting question to pose. I think that it also does come to the fact that I pay taxes currently.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I pay taxes. I work. I have had multiple jobs. I pay taxes. And I do think that under a democracy, I do think that my vote, I do think I kind of, even if my prefrontal cortex hasn't developed fully,
Go ahead, Andrew.
15 and 16-year-olds pay taxes.
I'm not 15.
I know, but 15 and 16-year-olds pay taxes, so that would mean that by the entailment of that, 15 and
I think
16-year-olds
we
should
should
be
just
able
go
to
back to
vote.
the question,
Right?
the original question.
What?
I said I really just think we should all just go back to the original question.
Yeah, I know. But why? I'm sorry. I know that the attention's not 100% focused on you right this second, but we're having a conversation with somebody else because I'm curious about the worldview here as well. If you say, I pay taxes, so I should be able to vote. Okay, that makes sense. But then that would apply to all taxpayers, which would include 14, 15, 16-year-olds who have part-time jobs. They pay taxes. Should they be able to vote?
No.
There's a question for you.
I know, I'm taking a moment to think.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
I personally don't think that I would be able to give an answer on that right now. I don't know. I think that I'd have to think about it longer. And I think that we should move on to the next
for you.
person and keep discussing. I was simply just trying to add on that I agreed with one of your earlier points, and I respect your opinion. I was only trying to do that, and that has led us down a million gajillion rabbit holes, and I think that we should continue moving around.
Do you want? So, are you just conceding the point then?
Well, there's no point to concede to. You asked me my opinion. I gave you my opinion. And you guys, like vultures, are like, hold on, let's talk about the military and voting and all these other things. I just said it gave me the ick. I don't like it. And I don't need you to agree or disagree.
Well, I think
What
the whole.
do you mean? What do you mean, like vultures?
Andrew,
You've just been asking
you and I
questions
have
one
done
at a
this
time.
before. You and I have done this before.
Oh, you mean when I was in a room where I was outnumbered 9-1?
You're not
Oh,
outnumbered
did I
ever.
traumatize you in a room where I was outnumbered
You never
9-1?
traumatized me.
Really? Are you serious?
Andrew,
You're not
you
outnumbered.
don't- you're not outnumbered.
Did that mean you outnumbered 9-1 and I was the vulture? Like what?
No, I didn't say that. And you weren't outnumbered at all. There was like 5 guys on that show.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there
was
was.
the host, and the host stayed silent for the entirety of the show except Sartain, who moved it
There was
on.
5
And it
guys
was
on that
me and
show.
one other guest. It was me and one other guest.
No, there was Michael. I
Yeah,
forget
the
other guy's
hosts.
name.
Those are the hosts.
Yeah,
They didn't
there's
say
5
shit the
guys.
whole show. They didn't say anything the whole show.
That doesn't mean they
It
weren't
was-
there.
It was all women versus 2 guys, and the other guy barely said anything. So I don't know if you how we were the vultures, but okay.
All right. Well, I do want to get the other panelists in on this. So back to the original thing. Toby Maguire, your thoughts
Thank you.
on.
Now I'm trying to reel it all out.
You had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot at once.
Okay, he's 49, she's 20. Your thoughts?
I believe it's anybody's opinion against their own because I have been and I have known people in age gap relationships or casualties to where I'm like, I know one couple that is still together to this day. I believe she's 18 and he's 40. And they've been together for, I think it's 20. I might have the age difference.
They
up.
met
But they met
when she was 18
Yes.
and he was 40. Okay. She's about to say they're together for fun. I think we can all agree we object to that.
It's a consensual relationship. I have been to their place to where I'm like they pretty much act like an old married couple.
So when they met, she was 18 and he was 40.
Yes.
Okay. But in terms of
Reality check donated $200. So, Bimbo Lady basically called all men mentally ill. Congratulations. Now all your potential partners are mentally ill. Have fun with that.
it's actually true because most men are attracted to young adult women.
Well, what about if it's the opposite? What
So,
happens
just
if
a-
the women go after
That's
the men?
yeah, that's fine.
Just let me clarify again. First of all, I did not say that if they're attracted to younger women is a problem. I said if they're pursuing someone the same age as their daughter, that's weird. That's weird, and I would be concerned.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say there's a 50-year-old man with a daughter and a 50-year-old man without a daughter. Is there any differentiation there?
No, I feel like that generational.
But they're the same age.
No,
I don't
I think
understand.
like a 20-year gap is so
answer the
massive.
question. Answer the question.
Okay, what is your question? What's the actual question?
A 50-year-old man
Yeah.
without a daughter
Yeah.
and a 50-year-old man with a daughter. They're the same age. Do you object to them both?
Yes,
But he doesn't have a daughter.
I'm
So
I'm
it
saying
could
that
be
large
the
of an
daughter's
age gap.
But it could be the daughter's age.
That large of an age gap is gross to me. It's gross. And going back to the mentally ill thing, I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me.
Okay, so it's
I don't need you to
it's a
agree with
mental
me.
illness though for men to be attracted to like a 21-year-old.
Not to be attracted, but why are you
To date. Okay,
why are
fine,
you
to date.
dating her? Why are you dating her? Yeah, I absolutely think
My
I think it's weird.
last follow-up that I
think
have
it's
on
weird.
this, and then I agree, we've kind of beaten the dead horse,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's
But
weird.
My last follow-up, would you ever accept from me the argument that I do not condone LGBTQ because I find it to be gross? Would you ever say that that's okay?
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. So like If you
Yeah, you wouldn't question my opinion, though. If I wanted to vote to legislate it or things like that, then would you oppose it?
It's not
then
my.
would I have to
it's
have
your
justifications
vote.
for it?
It's your vote. You can do whatever you want with your vote.
So you wouldn't even question it. You would just say, no problem,
The question
it's
is
just
if I
your
have
opinion.
a problem with it or not. I have a problem with it.
So
I think
what
it's
if
weird.
somebody said that they didn't like other races because they find it icky? Would you say anything about their opinion then?
Again, I'm talking about my opinion here. I'm talking about my opinion.
So you have no opinions about anybody else's opinions, even if you disagree with them?
I didn't say I had an issue with them being attracted to younger women. I said I have an issue with them pursuing the younger women.
You don't really
Yeah, I
answer
know, because it
questions.
gives you the ick.
Okay.
But if the argument is just it's
Ask
the
your
ick,
question, Brian, because I just did.
but if the argument is just it gives you the ick, then I don't know, couldn't I use that argument for basically any form of discrimination I could ever think of?
Sure.
And would you have anything to say about that, or would you just be like, oh, that's fine, it's your opinion?
Well, I didn't come to argue, first and foremost. I didn't come to argue or debate.
You didn't come on to
I just
an
came to talk
adversarial
about
dating show to
dating
argue?
topics. I did not come to argue, so that's why I'm saying we should.
Well, did you just come to monologue?
I came to have a conversation, not to argue.
That's what we're doing.
No, we're
that
not.
conversation's become
No, we're not.
adversarial.
No, we're not. When you guys are laughing, rolling your eyes, like making statements and comments that
Hey,
basically try to invalidate
what are you guys doing?
my opinion and things like that.
Wait, hang on. Yes, it's okay for me to make arguments that invalidate your opinion if I disagree with it, one. And two, you think that we have the monopoly on eye rolling in this conversation? Really?
If you're having just like a regular conversation, there's a respect level where you're exchanging ideas, but that's not what's happening here. That's
What
not
is
what's
happening
here. It's like 3-4 people at a time jumping in to like basically invalidate that person's opinion.
Yeah, what if their opinion's wrong and you wanted it invalidated? Like, for instance, if you were a racist who just said, I don't like X race because I find it icky, what would be wrong with 4 of us jumping in and going back and forth with that person one at a time in order to invalidate a bad opinion?
They're two completely different topics.
No,
Like-
the logic is
Yeah,
exactly
so
the
it's
same. If
not
somebody
the
thinks
same.
the justification
It's not
of
the
ick,
same.
They're different
do you know what
topics, but the logic is the
justification
same.
of ick is ick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anyways, did you give an answer?
Yes.
Did we
and
get an
then
answer?
Yes.
What was it?
I think it's to each their own as long as they're consenting adults.
Okay, so no issues with Toby Maguire, 49, dating 20-year-old Lily.
No.
Okay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that's weird or anything like that. I mean,
Okay, you're fine with it.
I don't care. They're adults. They want to do
Wait,
it.
can you just scoot your mic to the edge of the
Sorry.
table?
They're adults. They can do what they want to do. She's 21. Apparently, it's adult.
You should probably scoot your chair in, so...
no problem with it.
I could not care less. Women tend to mature quicker than men anyways. I would not date anybody my age.
Did you guys just show of
So,
hands? Just show
Ralph, what about their Abdullah oblongata? I mean, their prefrontal cortex, though. Did you ever think about that? What about their prefrontal cortex? Never even thought about that, did you? You just thought, well, they mature faster.
See,
So
that's
it's fine.
not having a conversation, Brian. That's where now you're
That
being
was
a
me
dick to
making
her.
a joke, and you see
It's
how she
not a
laughed.
joke.
I know that you're allergic to laughter
That's not a
and having
joke.
any sort of a good time, but you know it was clearly a joke.
That's where you're like being
joking.
disrespectful.
That was the opposite of disrespect. I was making fun of you by laughing with her.
I didn't say
That's
anything
not
about the
disrespectful.
prefrontal, but yeah.
Okay. Did you have any further thoughts on the
Yeah, no,
Toby Maguire?
I think there are other reasons besides mental illness that a man would be interested in dating someone who's younger. My roommate and I discuss this topic regularly, where we don't want to date someone who's over the age of like 30, 31, 32, because one, they all have all of this extra life baggage. Like, why have you matured now? What took you so long in your life to be like, okay, now I'm going to start considering marriage specifically? Two, I'm wondering, am I going to be able to actually have a family with you? I know women have a clock and it's ticking. I want to have a bunch of kids. I want to have a large family. That's really important to me. I don't want to spend the first 5 to 10 years of my marriage deprogramming all of that emotional baggage, all of that trauma, all of that, whatever word you want to use, whatever buzzword. I don't want to have to spend all that time doing that at the same time as trying to raise a family maybe having your emotional trauma baggage poured into the kids, into those impressionable minds. I don't have to deal with that. So I understand why a man, any age, whether that's 49, whether that's 20, would want to date a woman who's a little younger. It makes sense. And there are other reasons besides mental illness that they would want to do so.
Okay.
Do you want to walk back the mental illness thing, or you're pretty confident on
I
that?
said that I'd be wondering what's going on with them mentally, that they would be attracted to someone 20 years their junior. So no, I'm not walking
so it
you
is
back.
attracted. Because before you said
to
dated.
date, to be with.
But you just
yeah,
said
today. Sure.
if they're attracted.
Yeah, I mean,
So just by virtue of being attracted to a 21-year-old woman.
Listen,
mental
I'll
illness.
go in a little bit further here, okay? When I have conversations with people that are 20 years younger than me, or let's say, just to keep it like at 20, right? Sorry, what?
Nothing.
I'm looking at them as like, they're immature, they're not experienced in any way, shape, or form. They're vulnerable, they're impressionable, right? Their eyes wide open, deer in the headlight, right? To me, if a man is 20 years older, and by the way, somebody said in here that chat right there, like 30. 30 is appropriate. But I'm talking about early 20s, they're barely out of high school. And if you're gonna consider like one, being with them, having a relationship with them, settling down with them, et cetera, like you're preying on them. It's like they're not even on the same level as you. Like, what do you have in common with someone 20 years your junior? They probably can't even name a pop artist from your
Really? You
generation.
think, there's a whole lot there. You said
Sure.
prey. You mentioned the
Yeah.
commonality thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what in general do men and women have in common to begin with?
So much.
That would be sufficient enough to, just on the basis of having a commonality, would be like, I'm wanting to date this person just on the basis of us having shit in common. Said no one ever.
That's not true, Brian.
Said
That's
no one
literally
ever.
not true.
Bro,
Literally-
have you
that's
ever
literally
known a
not
guy?
true.
Have you ever known a guy who you had the most in common with, but you didn't end up dating them?
Yes.
I mean, I have friends that I have a lot in common with
But
that we
you're
didn't date
not-
because there's chemistry and
Right.
sexual attraction
So
that would be
it's
needed
clear,
as well.
but would you agree it's clear then that having commonalities is not high in the totem pole of
No, I disagree.
what matters?
I disagree.
Well,
I disagree.
You mentioned pop artists. I don't give a fuck what kind of music a girl listens to. And if she's dating me long enough, she's gonna like my shit.
That's so weird that you would like suggest that she would have to like your shit. Like,
But
maybe
That's
she likes
not
her
what
own
I
stuff.
said.
But she will.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, I
She'll
just,
like it
I just
eventually.
disagree. I just think a 20-year age gap.
that.
I just think a 20-year age gap is
true.
wild.
Right, but you said
like,
pop
why?
artists.
I brought it up as like an example.
Okay,
like
fine.
it's just a random example.
So then cultural touchstones. Oh, we watch the same shows. We both listen to the same music.
Like the same.
I don't
yeah,
care.
I think having things
Don't
in common.
care.
Well, if all you care about is your sexual attraction,
No,
period, and that's where you
no,
end
that's
it.
not even
Okay,
it.
I just want to
Goes
clarify.
into-
I just want to clarify.
But just
'cause
to
we're talking about things you have in
clarify,
common.
I think liking the same music is far more superficial than what you're trying to suggest here by there's the sexual component. Who your favorite pop artist is, same music.
it's just one example of having something in common
Okay,
with
what are some
someone.
things in common that would warrant me to date somebody?
I think you should have a lot of things in common. I think you should enjoy doing the same things, going to the same places, hanging out with the same people.
Okay, I don't
But
like
that's not-
the
I would
That's
say
not
the
age
only thing
restrictive,
really
though.
is like morals and maybe.
Right, but you
Okay,
can
but-
maybe.
but you
But
can have all of
if
those.
you're,
Well,
you-
no.
if you-
I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with either, but I'm saying as far as agreements, the only thing I could see that would make sense to me personally would be maybe morals, religious. If you're a religious person, maybe
Right, but you
religion
could be,
based.
you could, but there's nothing. Having good morals and having
Well, no, no, no.
hold
No,
on, let me finish.
exactly.
Hold on, let me finish. Having good morals and having a religious worldview. You could be 21
No, 100%.
and be involved
100%.
in your faith.
No,
you could be 45 and be an atheist.
100%. I'm just saying that's the only thing as far as
You're
if
not-
you
you're
want.
not speaking into the
I'm just
mic.
saying as far as being agreeable or having things in common. That's the only thing I could see as far as being justifiable of wanting to have those things agreeable, being in the same things in alignment as far as morals and
Right, but you can have-
religion.
okay, you
but
can
I'm not
have
saying
that.
you have to be
Yep,
the same
you
age.
can have that in any
no,
age.
yeah, I'm not saying
So,
that it
again,
has to be an age.
Make an
thing.
argument for the commonality component here.
But don't you want to date people that they're going to teach you something?
No.
Men don't.
I mean,
I
not
don't want to
teach,
be taught.
not teach you something, but like, not teach you something. Not teach you something. I guess that was the right word. That wasn't the right word. That wasn't the right word.
Okay, go ahead.
So like, you like that kind of music because that's what she brought up. You like that kind of music. I like this kind. I've never heard that. Sure, let me hear it. You want to do that? Sure. It's a commonality. It doesn't have to be.
I don't think it's a commonality though. I think it's more of just being in agreement with sharing.
Why do opposites attract though? Why is that a thing? Like there's some people have something and then the other person completes that, and that turns into a match.
Wait, so just to be clear, so commonality, that's super important.
I think it's important.
Having things in common.
I think so.
I don't think it's important.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's important.
You think for either men or women, people are looking at like, oh, we have so much in common. If that were the case, if commonality was really up there, wouldn't people sort for that?
So, first of all, when you ask me these questions, like the whole like smug, like I know better, I know that, like I already disagree with you, but you're asking just to make a
star.
Okay,
hold on.
How many men want to go to a Taylor
Wait,
Swift
hold on.
concert?
I'm gonna finish something.
Nobody.
I'm gonna finish something really quick.
Me, but I'm saying
having a conversation. If that's what we're doing, we're having a conversation. Let's have a conversation to be open to other people's ideas and opinions and views and walks of life.
I'm firm
but
in
that's
my
not what you're
beliefs,
doing.
so-
Well, so am I. And
Well,
so
okay.
I'm open.
What
I'm actually open to having my mind changed.
we can have a volley of conversation, but like where I have an issue with these types of conversations is when you already are getting ready to make a point to like flip.
I'm already ready.
Exactly.
ready.
But it's like you're not even like open for the conversation.
Well,
so
hold on.
why are you asking
That's
your
a fair
question?
Listen, I think that's a fair criticism. I'll tell you, I'm totally open to having my mind changed. In fact, I hate cognitive dissonance. That's a thing that I despise. I've tried to get rid of as much cognitive dissonance in myself as I possibly can. Totally open to having my mind changed. That's why I love having combos like this.
Yeah,
absolutely. But the
when we're
thing
having
is
them.
are you willing to have your mind changed?
I would be open to it for sure, but where I'm specifically
Well,
referencing.
how can we do that if we don't? Hang on, I'm almost done. I just wanted a quick yes or no to that, and the reason, here's why. If you're open to having your mind changed, and we're having this conversation, how in the world could I change your mind without showing you if we apply this kind of thinking or the rigidity in thinking of I got the ick, and then take it to its logical conclusion, and you see that the position itself is absurd? How else can I get you to change your mind? Can you actually explain that to me?
Sure.
I actually do want to know the answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's really difficult for you to completely change the topic in the sake of parallel ideas. You should just stay on the actual topic and maybe ask onion layer peeling questions about how did I get to that logic. So then you would understand where I'm coming from, and you could even have an intelligent conversation in where maybe there's holes in my logic on that topic.
Great. Then let's start with how did you come to the position that a age gap relationship is icky?
I'm going to answer that in 1 second.
How did you come to this?
I will answer that in 1 second, but I want to finish what I was saying to Brian. Like, see, like rolling your eyes, shaking your head.
Because it's a meta conversation.
No, it's not meta. It's just
no.
you being a jerk.
Do you know what a meta conversation is?
I sure do.
What is it?
A meta conversation was where you're just ice layering on top of each other, where you're not actually addressing the topic.
That's not a meta conversation.
Or the whataboutism.
That's not a conversation. Is a conversation about the conversation.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I meant by the layering. You're talking about the same thing. So what I want to like, I think it's really important to address. We all drove here and came here for your show, right?
Okay, meta conversation.
No.
You're literally having a meta conversation.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna have a conversation, we can have a conversation. But when you're being disrespectful, that's not a conversation.
Well, see, when it comes to the eye rolling, see, perhaps you might view it as disrespectful. But for example, if somebody were to say, Brian, I want to argue with you about the fact that I think that the sky is red.
But I don't want to argue at all. I already said that.
Okay, if somebody says something ridiculous, so ridiculous that it warrants an eye roll, I don't see any actual objection there. If somebody's going to say, Brian, the sky's not blue, I don't even know how to have that conversation. And some of the eye roll comes from you saying, I mean, I actually find it quite almost despicable that you want to paint men. You said men prey, men are predators, men are mentally, you would question their mental health. I mean, that's very objectionable language because you're essentially painting almost most or all men as having a pathology. which I object to and I find ludicrous. And when it comes to this commonality thing, I just find that absurd. I mean, why even engage in it? Because it's just ridiculous if you genuinely think that commonality is high on the totem pole in terms of what people find attractive.
I completely disagree with you. If
You disagree that in terms of my assessment of what you said, you've pathologized all men or most men.
No,
you think
I
they're predatory. You think
didn't
they're
say that.
You said prey.
I said
Did
if there's
you
a
say prey?
20 plus year age gap,
Did
let's
the
be
words-
clear, the
did
20 plus year
words-
age gap.
Yes, that's the context of
Yeah.
which I'm addressing this. Did you say the word prey?
When there's a
Did-
20 year age gap, yes.
Okay, so, but you also said it about even men who find them attractive. You did say that too.
Yeah, I think it's weird. Why would you?
Okay, and you
Yeah.
think it's predatory. You think they're
If you
preying.
pursue it, yeah.
You think they're preying. Right. So you're pathologizing. So there's the justification for my eye roll. It's just an absurd statement.
Well, it's my opinion.
Well, so
Andrew was trying to get
claiming
into
be
this. Okay, if you're
open-minded, yeah.
okay.
Listen, it's perfectly acceptable to have an opinion, and I do want to hear it. Like, that's why I come on these shows, because I enjoy hearing your opinions.
Yeah.
The reason that I enjoy hearing your opinions is because often, and I've had to change my mind multiple times about different positions that I've had, especially after starting whatever, because I didn't know very much about modern dating. I didn't know very much about how this stuff went at all. And I've been forced to change my opinions many times because I was suffering from cognitive dissonance. There's no doubt about it. There was many things which I had a completely skewed view on that I no longer do after engaging in these panels. So I do want to hear your opinion, but I think you got to listen to ours as well. I think that that's a kind of the fair exchange. So my olive branch here is like, look, we've engaged before, right? And you know that if you give me your opinion, you're genuine. I am going to deconstruct it a bit. But we don't even have to be disrespectful about it. We just go through the opinion and figure this thing out. Right?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said when it's done respectfully, but when it's like, it's so clear, like we're not even having a conversation because
That's
you're
tone
closed off.
policing. Come on,
It's like,
don't tone police.
No.
Like, that's just,
It's okay.
It's tone policing.
It's,
Well, I'm
not-
gonna
well, what's happening
leave the
right now?
conversation if
what
it's
I
not
perceive,
respectful.
what I perceive is happening right now is you're unwilling to engage with the argument because you're feeling offended by the tone. Whereas you could be generous to the other person. Maybe you could even say, Brian's a little immature in his delivery. That's fine. But if you're a mature adult willing to engage with the actual argument that's being posed, I can put away the immaturity. I can put away the disrespect. I've had plenty of people on panels before really disrespect me and how they say things, but I still genuinely engage with the argument that's being presented to me, regardless of how they say it. And I think you should be able to do that as a mature adult. Now, I'm giving this as like a critique to your argumentation style. So instead of attacking somebody because of the way they say
who did
things,
I attack?
Brian.
I attacked him.
Well, you're okay.
I don't
Maybe
think
I
it's
don't want to say
necessarily
the word
an attack.
Okay,
Attacking,
it is.
I think women have a hard time
Okay,
sometimes
maybe I
admitting
need to-
that they're
Okay,
wrong.
well, see, there it goes again. Well, there it goes
Everyone
again.
does.
Because I use the word attack, you're unwilling to engage with what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of, so if I say attack, maybe you can translate in that in your mind to say, okay, maybe he's making an argument, or we're having a spirited discussion. Maybe I'm not going to judge him based on the tone or the words he says. Maybe I want to interpret the meaning he's trying to get across with saying what he's saying. It's a really immature way to go about having a discussion with somebody, judging them based upon the verbiage, the language, and the tone of what they're using.
I got this. Okay, duly noted. Anyways, why don't you engage with Andrew? Go ahead.
Okay.
Noted. Duly noted. Go ahead. Have the
Yeah,
conversation.
so I do genuinely want to know how you came to this opinion.
Well, one, I'm a woman who was once in her early 20s, and I did engage with, when I just want to be clear, I'm not saying sexually, but like I did have conversations. I did have men hitting on me. I did, work in environments, et cetera, where there was a lot of men that were acting predatorily because I was so young, impressionable, and easy to, coerce to do different things, go different places, et cetera.
Yeah, that guy's right.
I've had a lot of negative experiences with men that are much older than me. And if now that I'm older, my number one piece of advice to younger women is try to just keep it around the same age as you. Like, I don't think, 20 years 30 years older than you is appropriate. That's just my personal opinion from my personal lived experiences.
Andrew, I have something on this.
Okay, yeah, sure, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you dated men who were older and they were bad experiences. Yeah. Don't doubt that at all. But I also hear from women, for example, who date men their own age and have also bad experiences. So it's not clear to me that it really matters. If you're trying to avoid bad experiences, I don't see really what age has to do with it. A guy the same age as you can be just as or more abusive and controlling as an older guy.
Sure can. I just, my personal opinion based on my personal lived experiences is that there should be a smaller age gap. I say 10 years is roughly the max.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a
When
question for you.
you're guiding women,
do.
because you said this was your number one piece of advice for younger women, and I didn't get that wrong. I'm not strawmanning that,
Nope.
right? You did say that's your number one piece of advice.
Yeah.
Do you usually guide them only via anecdote?
Clarify what you mean.
Like only your personal experience?
I also, I take into account, who that girl is, their experience, like, a lot of different factors. But in general, young women who are in their early 20s, fresh out of high school, maybe newly going into college. When you graduate when you're 18, fresh out of high school is 2 years ago.
That's not that fresh, but okay. Fair enough.
All right. Well,
I
I'm just saying young
understand.
women.
Let's say within 5 years it's fresh. We'll just say that for the kind of like the sake of however it is that you feel. But do you understand? So when I talk to different men, I don't actually give advice, right? I make sure not to, because if I'm not intricately familiar with a person's personal situation, I feel like I could actually make it worse if I gave them bad advice. So I tend to stay away from advice giving at all. But one thing I do tell people, and this is the one thing I'll tell anybody who listens, is there is a proper way to think. There's a proper way to think, and there's an improper way to think. And so when I listen to you kind of go through this, what I'm looking for is how is she thinking about this? Why is she thinking about it this way? And why is she arriving at that conclusion? Because most people come to improper conclusions because they have not been taught to properly think. So if we start with an anecdote of you have bad experience with X, that really doesn't mean shit ultimately, right? It would actually be improper thinking to say, because I had negative experiences in field X, that therefore other people are going to have negative experiences. You would want to look at kind of the whole in order to make a good conclusion before you were to give somebody advice, right? You would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Same as statistics.
I don't really think it's that deep though, Andrew. I'm just more referring to, when I do have younger women approaching me and talking to me about their male situations, I will go off of what they've shared and I will encourage them to date within their own age range.
Can I ask you a question about that?
But that has vast implications for a person's life, right? It does. Giving a person advice about who they should or shouldn't date has massive implications for the outcomes of their life.
Well, when I'm asked for my advice, sometimes will give it. Not always,
but
sometimes.
No, and I understand. That's okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who give advice, when they're asked and this type of thing. I tend not to. But don't you think that if you're a person who does give advice, that you should be coming to proper conclusions before you give it out?
Sure.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about this, the reason that I'm gauging what you're saying, and the reason I'm diving into what you're saying, and the reason I want to change your mind about what it is that you're saying is because I think you're coming to an improper conclusion based on bad thinking, and I think that I can assist with that. And so that's why I want the opinion and why it is that you think this. And if all you can say is it's justified via ick, there's no way in the world, because you could justify anything with ick, right? You could justify any discriminatory behavior with ick. You can justify hating women with ick. You could justify hating men with ick. You could justify anything with ick. So that would be improper thinking, wouldn't it?
I don't know, Andrew. This is, again, just my opinion. What were you going to say?
My question is, so when I sit there and I look at men my age where I'm from, most of them can't tell their left ass cheek from the right. Okay? So when I sit there and I say I look at men 30 plus years old because they know what they want, they've been through life, they're
How old are
ready
you?
to settle
Sorry,
down.
how old are you again?
I'm sorry?
How old are you again?
I'm 26.
You're 26. Okay, that's 30
So
great.
30, 40, 50
That's
year old
great.
men, that's who I tend to
40,
look
50?
at. Right, because they have their shit together, they know what they want. Men in their 20s, men in their 30s, they don't know what they want typically.
They're
It's
the
very,
ones.
very rare to find that. So I don't necessarily agree with your point of they should be closer together. Like I said, women tend to mature significantly quicker than men. I know a lot of women in their 20s who are ready to settle down, but the men aren't.
I have one question for you. Would you prefer, here's the scenario. So a woman dates a man who's, say she's 21, dates a 35-year-old. Just really quick, do you object to that age gap?
It's getting a little out there, but it's not
It's
as
enough to
bad
give
as
you the
40.
ick.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not as bad as 40.
So let's say he's a good guy, he wants a monogamous relationship, doesn't cheat on her, wants long-term. Or would you prefer to see that woman, say, in the period over the course of 2 years, get kind of strung along by like fuck boys her age? Which do you prefer?
I think if the guy is like genuinely a good guy and actually interested in her, like for more than just her physical looks and her appearance and the fact that she can pop out 20 babies, like there's actually like care for her, then I think that a 35-year-old, 21-year-old, it's pushing it from my personal opinion. But I think that to your point, would be a better scenario than her.
Does it change if
Yeah.
she's 40?
What do you-
Or sorry,
sorry.
excuse me. Does it change if he's 40?
I just wonder why, like out of all
No,
of
but okay, so the question is, in this scenario, he's a good guy, monogamous, wants a long-term
it raises
relationship
more
with her.
questions for me.
Right. But would you rather see her in the situation with the older man who wants to have a long-term monogamous relationship with her, is not going to cheat, going to be loyal, or for her to just be hoeing around and sleep with 20 frat boys her age? Which would you prefer to see?
I mean, I prefer them both to be settled and happy.
not the
but it
question.
just- yeah.
That's not the question.
I literally
Answer the question.
the stage of their life.
There's two options. Which would you prefer to see?
The 21-year-old and the 35-year-old.
Okay, so I changed it to 40. So
Okay. I still think,
21-year-old
I think it's
with the
starting to
40-year-old.
get weird at 40, but
Yes,
I do
you've
prefer,
already said that.
I know, but I was in the middle of saying I would prefer to see them both like settled and happy. And again, it's a little uncomfortable for me, but I would prefer that for both of them.
Over
yes.
her sleeping with men
And him,
her
but
age.
yes, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
But because it's really common in these particular red pill settings that like,
Is this a red pill setting?
come on.
Are you
I mean,
fucking
there's
retarded?
options there.
I'm sorry, what?
There was an option.
Bro,
there.
you
Anyways.
dropped the prop.
Well, I didn't know it was gonna come out.
Well, I mean, probably shouldn't play with props.
Brian, you don't need to be so rude.
Could I make a comment as soon as?
Like, why would you call me fucking retarded?
Because, I mean, you dropped the prop, it's on the floor now, you haven't done anything to pick it up.
Well, I would, but I'm a little distracted by you calling me fucking retarded.
Yeah, I mean, here's the tone policing again, so
Oh, you're right.
is this a rage quit?
Like
No,
other.
I'm not rage quitting. You're just so disrespectful. Like, who?
You
But it's
literally,
disrespectful.
yeah.
Hang on. Listen, hang on. It's been super hostile. Let's finish the You don't want to finish the
I
convo?
love you, Andrew, but I'm not gonna be called fucking retarded.
It was kind of fucking
She was
retarded.
also
hear
insulting
me
and
drive.
the mental illness and
It was
the,
a little.
I don't want to hear the verbiage.
Can I make a quick
Oh,
comment?
that's serious with me, girl.
Well, you know, hey, it happens.
I can agree with you on that one.
Yo, Desmond, you can't be on your phone right now, man. Are we?
Somebody sing a song. Happy birthday to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Are we
It's
off
not
the
that
topic,
serious.
or can I still comment on this?
Yeah, for the sticks and stones.